Good evening, everyone. Welcome. So excited to have y'all here with us. We're going to get started shortly. This is our first Bronx Farm to Table workshop of the year. This is a program that we've been doing since 2020, and we do this program because we are working to try and get ourselves reconnected to Black and Brown foodways, right? Oftentimes, the food that is indigenous to where we're from, or that comes from our families, from our cultures, is maligned in the media. We're told that it's unhealthy. We're told that it doesn't have enough nutrients. It doesn't give you energy. Junk food. But the reality is, we come from people that worked with the earth, that grew things with their hands, that made their own seasonings. Right? We dehydrated things by the sun. We ground them up ourselves. So um, we're going to be reconnecting to all of those food ways, all of those medicinal ways tonight and every month in this program. We also want to encourage you to come every single month because just like our youth programs, we're going to be doing a sharing in May, and that is going to be featuring y'all. All right. So we're going to start off with creating our mushroom rub because this is going to be our favorite. Oftentimes, people make this stew or this soup with goat meat, chicken feet, chicken bouillon, um, curried shrimp, or dried shrimp powder, dried crayfish. Those are just some of the different protein and meat ingredients that we throughout the diaspora in pumpkin soup. Tonight, we're going to make it vegan because it's a good base that works for everyone. If we start off that way and we want to add later, we can do that. But at least if we start off that way, then anyone can do this, right? So we're going to start off making our mushroom rub. And we're working with portobello mushrooms tonight. I've cut them lengthwise and then also crosswise. So lengthwise is going to be a vertical cut. Crosswise is going to be a horizontal cut. And we've got them cut. And we have some apple peels at the bottom. So if you see on your recipe, there's a little apple peel in there. And oftentimes when you're working with either a vegetable or with a fungi like mushrooms, and you just want to make sure that you have that meaty flavor, it's good to have something that's a little sweet, a little warming, like a warming spice like cumin or cinnamon, a little sugar, salt, pepper, because that really brings out the flavor of, say, a beef, right? So beef typically has a sweet, a savory, a spicy. It's kind of a complex flavor. It's really blended up in there. So we're going to add a little apple peel for the sweet. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil just so that it marinates really well. All right. And if you're doing this at home with maybe your little ones, this is a good time to get their hands in the bowl, right? This is a good time for them to mix everything up. The recipe has units of measurement in there, but I like to cook with my ancestors. So when I'm measuring and when I'm putting my spices in, I'm usually just going by how I feel, right? And we can do that especially if we're really familiar with what an ingredient tastes like on the thing that we're putting, right? So if you cook chicken a lot, you know how much garlic your taste bud needs for chicken. You know how much salt your taste bud needs for chicken. So if you cook it a lot, you probably at this point already know what you need, right? And if it's something new, then we follow the recipe. Okay, so we're gonna add a little garlic. We're gonna add some black pepper, the oil. And this mushroom rub, it's really great just to let it sit there for about 15 to 20 minutes, which is enough time for us to chop our thing. We're gonna add a little cayenne pepper, just a dash because we already have black pepper. One of my favorite seasonings to use when I'm working with mushrooms and I want it to taste like beef is ground fennel. It's the kicker. Like it's one of those things that you taste in Italian sausage. If you ever had a pizza and you see those little seeds on there on the meat, that's fennel, right? A little sweet. And we're gonna mix this up really well. This is a dry rub, it's not super wet. And that's okay. Mix up. So the first things that we're going to chop up are our carrot, our onion, our bell pepper, and our garlic. And I would love to shout out the Bronxboro Hall Green Market. Also want to highlight these heirloom beauties. If you can get your hands on some heirloom tomatoes, this is always the best way to go. Just use your hands to peel the skin off of our garlic. When we're cutting and it's a little difficult, we want to bear claw our food. If you're not familiar with cutting, or if you're having a bit of a hard time, this is a way to protect your fingertips. And then when you hold your knife, you're going to want to hold it right here in the palm of your hand, right where the corner of your thumb is, right? Wrap your four fingers around the handle. Take your thumb, put it on the side of the blade. Take your pointer, pinch, right? And so you should be pinching the blade. Also, some people don't like doing this. I like doing this. Taking the blade of my knife, pressing down on my garlic, and we're just gonna give it a quick, nice little rough chop. Okay? We don't have to be super intentional because it's all going in with the stew. Because garlic can cook really fast, we're gonna put it in later. Okay? We're gonna dice our onion. So, fun fact about celery, while I would not say it's a replacement for salt, it does what we use salt for, right? So celery is one of those things that celery salt, celery seed, well, I wouldn't recommend celery salt, but celery seed and celery, the actual vegetable, is really, really great for amplifying the flavors in the rest of the food, right? When we want something that tastes savory, we oftentimes reach for salt. We can also just reach for celery. Celery does anything. So I'm gonna get our palm oil, heat it up. I got this beautiful, rich orange color. All right, so right now we're heating up our palm oil. We're gonna simmer our onions, our bell pepper, and our celery. Okay, we're gonna get some carrots going. An acorn squash and other winter squashes is a little difficult. Yeah, I think a good knife is always the best route to go. Now, with the delicata, you can work with a sharp vegetable. That can be a little tough. Getting pretty wet, onions start to roast. Gonna turn the heat up just a little bit. And I love using the container that I use to marinate so that I can get all of this, all of it. Give it a little bit of water just to push it along. While we are waiting on this stew to cook, one of the just like little quick tips that I learned from some family members about cooking rice is once you rinse your rice and you want to rinse all of the starch off of it, you fill it up with the water, the amount of water that you're going to use to cook it, right? And then let it sit for like 45, 50 minutes before you turn it on. Just let it sit in the water. Then you turn it on and it cooks in 15. Okay, so let's get our squash in here. Then we would probably add goat to this, right? But we started off with mushrooms, which is gonna give us that umami flavor, which is a meaty, kind of creamy, really savory texture. And we're gonna let this cook for the next, say 20 minutes. The last thing that we're gonna add to this, again, our garlic is going in last, but one more ingredient, and those are these beautiful heirloom tomatoes, okay? Our heirloom tomatoes, we're gonna give them a nice dice. We're gonna dice that. Heirloom tomatoes are varieties of tomatoes that have been around for several generations. That's why we call them heirloom. They all have different names. I don't remember the names of, actually, these two would be Purple Cherokee. They all have the really cool names based on either location or the person that decided to save those seeds, which is why we have them now. But all fun names, and they might look a little funky, right? But that doesn't mean they're bad. So the last ingredients that we're going to start to chop up, and we're not going to use all these peppers because the peppers are really hot, but I just want to show you the peppers that I harvested today from New Roots Community Farm. We got some beautiful hot peppers from their hoop house. You can see here, there's some ahis. Right, we got some lovely train peppers. And these guys are super, super hot, all right? Super hot. We want to be really careful when we're cutting them. It's not something that I would recommend you with your little ones. You're going to want to cut this yourself. And this is also the last thing you should cut, right? Because the juice and the heat stays on your fingertips and under your fingernails. So we're not going to cut these just yet, but we are going to cut them soon because we want them to kind of marinate into the base of our stew. Okay. Now at this point, if you're working with your stove at home, Your stove at home you can probably keep on a medium temperature. We're working with a hot plate, so I've got it at the maximum level. We want it to cook a little bit faster. I'm gonna put some water in my pot of rice, rinse that off. While I'm